We'll get into tonight's topics. We'll start off with the climate bill. That's right, the carbon cycle. For you scientists out there, for you naturalists, you understand that, carbon's a required element. You're part carbon. Oh my gosh. And when you exhale carbon dioxide. That's now a poisonous gas. Even though the plants, all those green things around you, must have it to survive. And without plants, you wouldn't be listening to the show or watching the show, and your children wouldn't be watching or listening to the show, huh? So you and your children need plants, don't you? But you're sold this climate thing, this climate bill, even though thousands of people called and said they didn't want it, and the ratio, once again, thousands to one, just like the bailout thing. But what's interesting, couple things, is it was 300 pages originally, and then it got to like 900 pages, and then at 3 o'clock in the morning they print an additional 300 pages. Nobody gets to see it until mid-morning, and then they got to vote on it that day. Now who does this benefit, and who pushed it? Cui bono? Well, Al Gore pushed it, as you know, and he happened to set up that climate trading exchange in Chicago, huh? Who is helped by who? By Obama and Madoff. You know all these names, don't you? And Goldman Sachs. Yes, you've heard of all those names before. So they're going to benefit. Now, globalist bankers are going to be able to tax you and the entire life cycle and anything you do. Now, remember, this is the United States, where NAFTA was the greatest idea since sliced bread. Remember, let's push all our industry offshore because that's good. People, viewers, this climate bill, they never even read it. Now, why that's important? Well, here, let's listen to Al Gore, because he feels this is a way to get closer to global governance. That means global government. Play him the clip.
Within 1 month of taking office, President Obama secured $80 billion U.S. for renewable energy and green infrastructure. And then just 2 weeks ago, the House of Representatives passed the Waxman-Markey bill, which, for all of its flaws, does put a price on carbon and is very much a step in the right direction. It achieves real reductions below the 1990 base level by 2020. And that is the threshold that many have said, including many in China, is the threshold that will dramatically increase the prospects for success. But it is the awareness itself that will drive the change. And one of the ways it will drive the change is through global governance and global agreements.
Oh, global governance. Global governance means global government.
So now you know the future change that he's looking for. This is Al Gore, the guy who owns what? The controlling interest of Occidental Petroleum. Yeah, not a poor boy, huh? Are you sick of these globalist bankers just, screwing your grandchildren constantly? Are you tired of it yet? I mean, what legacy are you going to leave behind? Servitude? Is that what you want for your grandkids? Oh, by the way, they have medical plans for you. We'll get into that in another show, with all the, you wait for the vaccine to come out. But anyway, now we also have legislation going on that they didn't, they're not reading and they're not considering, and that is the hate crimes legislation. Two guys are fighting over a parking space. One of them happens to be gay. If the gay guy punches the guy who's not gay, okay, he just gets, a small fine. But if the guy who's not gay punches a gay guy, he gets a bigger fine because now gay's more equal. What's important about this, though, is now with this hate crime and hate speech legislation, they're going after the First Amendment. Got to remember that this is stuff that they do. They slowly chip away at it. So now they're going to be able to control what I say, because if I influence you to try to preserve the Constitution, to try to protect and defend the Constitution, then I can be put in jail. Because under hate crime and hate speech and stuff, I'm making you hate tyranny. Do you hate tyranny? Do you hate tyranny for your children? Do you see this? This is Nazi Germany, this is Stalin's Russia coming to your doorstep while you sleep and watch the stinking Patriots, for all you sports fans, okay? Or go to the baseball games or whatever, because it's all more important. Oh, don't get me going. All right, so anyway, the next bill that you should know about. How about the cyberbullying bill? Let's say you say something online, or you don't even say it, somebody else says you said it online. Now we can fine you. We got to go back 2 things. Let's go to your climate change bill. Here's a little clip for you. I want you to see You know, you heard what Gore wants. He wants global governance. But this climate change bill, now we're going to have a federal employee or someone working for the feds come into your home to inspect it? What, annually? I mean, how much politically correct, how much government do you need? Do you understand who's behind all this? So anyway, the cyberbullying bill, yeah, we told you about that. The thing, once again, is they never read this stuff. They're not reading it. Like the Patriot Act. Here's a little clip. Just so you know, they did the exact same thing with the Patriot Act for that false flag terrorism thing that they blamed on a bunch of what? Muslims in caves or whatever, right? Yeah, what a crock, okay? But once again, look at what they did with the Patriot Act. They made changes the night before. These people didn't even know what they were voting on. And they represent you.
The USA Patriot Act encompasses 30 years of spying legislation, and not the good kind. These were laws that the Congress had declared unconstitutional for over 30 years because they violate core American principles and the Constitution. But after September 11, a helpless and frightened Congress would take the first steps in allowing Viet Dinh's USA Patriot Act to invade the lives of every single American. While it's not a crime for someone outside of Congress to author legislation, especially related to special needs, it is not proper constitutional procedure for a bill that has been hammered out with conference of both parties and in both houses to be switched in the early morning hours with a bill prepared by lawyers from the executive branch. The original Patriot Act was drafted and agreed upon by both Republicans and Democrats, and by both the House and the Senate. But at the very last minute, the original version was switched with the White House-approved Viet Dinh version of the bill. Under the cover of darkness, the president would have his substitute bill printed at 3:45 a.m., only hours before the House vote scheduled for that same morning. Out of 435 representatives, not one person would read the USA Patriot Act before voting in favor of this substitute bill.
This is still warm. It just came off the Xerox machine. This isn't the bill that was adopted by a unanimous 36 vote majority of Democrats and Republicans of the Judiciary Committee. These are critical issues. This is what we're fighting for. These are our civil liberties.
The question becomes, did a unanimous number of U.S. representatives violate their oath of office by blindly signing off on a 300-plus page bill they had never seen before, much less read?
Frankly, these members of Congress did not hesitate to pull the trigger on civil liberties. I mean, even though Congress is in control of the Republicans, take a look at the votes. Most of these things passed with huge Democratic support.
The USA Patriot Act passed overwhelmingly in both the House and the Senate, giving the Bush administration full authority under the law to violate the most fundamental principles outlined in our Bill of Rights, the right to privacy. America's right to privacy ended on October 26, 2001, with the signing of this bill.
So, they're called your representatives. Even though when it came to, remember the bailout bill? Barney Frank again. Remember the bailout bill? When over 1,000 calls to one were being received by these legislators and stuff against the bailout, they voted for it. And when the House turned it down, the Senate took another bill, stripped it, and put it back in. That's your bailout that went to Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley and gave the Federal Reserve, that private banking cartel, all the power, yet you don't care about your grandchildren. They can be servants and slaves. That doesn't bother you. The same people that funded the Nazis, these globalist bankers, that doesn't bother you, that your children will be just crushed by them. That doesn't bother you. Because you don't have time to pay attention what's happening inside your republic. They've got you so dumbed down, sucking down your fluoride, that you don't know what's going on, and most of you don't even care because you're on Prozac and Ritalin. I'm trying to reach those who aren't. I'm trying to reach those who do care. I'm trying to reach those who understand there's a difference between democracy and a republic. That freedom, liberty, is something important. It's important for your grandchildren.